the afternoon break of day 9 of the Undercover Policing Inquiry. We've been hearing more evidence from the Undercover Police Officer James Thomson. He's been questioned about a whole bunch of stuff, particularly his relationship with Ellie, which has been looked at since we came back from lunch. Also, we've started to look at the supposed desire to kill by several of the animal rights activists that he was infiltrating. I'm joined alongside me by Patrick from Veggies.
Hello there. Hi.
And also with Alison from Police Spies Out of Lives.
Hello again.
You can't, nobody can hear you unless the microphone's in front of you. What do you make of what you had to say?
Well, I'm doing my knitting, obviously. That's quite
Obviously.
a complicated pattern, so I'm not concentrating on every word. But the bit that I've got many things to say though. How to avoid lying under oath. I like that, the way he does that. He's good at that. Or not so good, because we can tell he's lying. But my big thing is that there's a whole bit where he starts, I think, properly making it up as he goes along about people I've got no clue who they are, L2, L3, no idea who these people are. But suddenly, he's imagining like a street fight and then starts describing it. Yeah, no, L whatever one. He really relishes the violence. Well, can you give me an example? Yeah, like kicking people in the head. Well, have you got some evidence, a specific time? Well, no, and then there's no reports on it. There's no reports at the time, no contemporaneous reports of this alleged violence. And suddenly, I mean, just what a lot of rubbish is all I can say.
Yeah, I mean, it was like he was sort of describing something from the Clockwork Orange and projecting it on these people.
Yeah, I mean, Alison's got it just dead on. You can't really say any more than that, other than that everyone in the room was absolutely stunned. The gall to come up with some completely out of the blue, not referred to in his statements, presumably, because otherwise L1, L2 would have had a chance to counter it. So it's come completely out of the blue in that way. I mean, someone who did know L2, I believe, or L3, said, yeah, rubbish, absolute rubbish. That wasn't what the people were like.
I mean, aside from anything else, I mean, the idea, like, I don't know anybody who's like that, particularly not compassionate animal rights activists. It doesn't make a great deal of sense at all. It really did look like he was making it up as he went along. He has cut a very relaxed figure for much of the day. He's been smirking, sitting back in his chair. During this section, he was visibly worried. His entire body language had changed. He struck me as someone who had been found out for, this whole thing of this plot to kill, which is obviously complete nonsense, but really, kind of is the big thing of his deployment that he's obviously going to try and maintain the lie about. He's accepted his abuse of the women. He's tried to pretend that it was genuine feelings, which is just so offensive.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing, there was, the Traitors TV programme, there was something on the radio the other week about, there was some psychologist talking about, can you spot how someone lies? And she was saying that what people always look at, what you just said, the body language, which is, we all know about that, tells lie. She said, actually, the thing that you can, where people really trip themselves up is not about their body language, because they can learn that. Right. And also people sometimes, when they're genuinely nervous, they close up. It's when you give them, she didn't say it like this, but when you give them the rope, because when you give them the opportunity to say as much, you get them talking, and when you get them talking, that's when they say stuff that they make mistakes. And so really good liars, she was saying, say very little, and that's what most of them have done. Like the ones who are very efficient at this, they say very little, or they, like Lambert did, loads of word salads that go nowhere. But he is starting to talk, and that's what I think Barr is doing a fantastic job of drawing him out and getting him talking. And that's when he'll make mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, I get the Barr wasn't having a word of it either. Because he was his tone, Barr's tone was really good. He was saying, look, okay, so where's the examples? You really trying to tell me this? And he was almost saying to them, bunch of lies. So Barr did handle it very well. And as I said, he kept on talking. Once he said that the first person was violent, then the next person was violent, and the next person was violent. He just opened up a whole can of worms. He couldn't back out from it. But it's interesting, where is this going? Is he going to try and kind of bullshit all the way through the incident with the gun and everything by trying to put these people up as violent people? Is that where he's going to try and hold the line that these people were involved in this attempt to smuggle a gun into the country? Whereas if they were, as they almost certainly were, non-violent, compassionate animal rights people trying to make the world a better place, then the whole line about the trip to France, the gun, wouldn't have carried any weight.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's very clear that Barr has smelt blood, and he's got a bit between his teeth, as it were, and is really going for it. I think that, I mean, Thompson's going to have to. He's going to have to maintain this like all the way through, particularly now like, we're seeing the start of it now with this trip to Indonesia and how he's talking about that, this trip to see L4, essentially, supposedly, to get L4's blessing for the murder plot, which, I mean, also seems particularly ridiculous if it was actually a real thing. I don't believe that any of the details were developed in this way. I mean, we heard the details yesterday of what supposedly happened when they bought the gun. That just sounds completely unbelievable as well. It's all such bullshit.
The only other thing I would add is the whole, I know Jessica calls it, rightly so, the sex pestering. You know, James Thomson is giving Andy Coles a very good run for his money in top of the charts sexual predator of young women. Age 37, he starts his relationship with 21-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, not just 21 years old, but very vulnerable. She was homeless, unemployed, very depressed, had just been experiencing a lot of sexual harassment from her boss and landlord. All facts that he seemed to have forgotten. And rejected the idea that she was anyway vulnerable. In fact, he complained that that Barr was reading too much into it about his manipulation, and it wasn't fair.
But then you've got to put that together with his mentor, Matt Rayner, HN1, who started a sexual relationship with Liz 2 weeks after, you know, it became very clear how vulnerable she was. Jessica, who was 19 when Coles was how old? 33. Right, 33. You know, they're just like three in the same unit at the same time. Before you talk about Lambert, and I mean, it's the idea that this wasn't some kind of, you know, institutionalized conspiracy to rape. I mean, you know, it's strong language, but it does feel like that. They are a gang. They behave like a gang.
Absolutely. I think we need to go back in. It's about to restart again. It's only a short break. I will see you at the end of the day. Thanks for joining. Wait a second. Don't. Wait.